How you
Good.
feel?
Getting better every day. Thank you.
Let everybody know we're being recorded. If there's any emergencies, you got an exit there, you got an exit there. And Paul, would you do us in a pledge, please? Sure.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Paul. Do I have any public comments? And if I do, would you please say your name first for our secretary? And you got a question during the process, raise your hand and if I see you, or just yell out and I'll do my best to recognize you, but it's open. Okay, we're gonna have to postpone 7:13 minutes because they need to be rewritten, and I will take care of that. Let's go to 6:22:16, non-public. You'd done the public hearing and you'd done the public, but you didn't have the non-public. So do I have a motion? Has everybody read them? Do I have a motion to, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I will.
Stephanie, thank you. Do I have any corrections?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Under the Title I, summer school substitute teacher, not substituted teacher. The D should be removed. It's the second line up.
All right, okay, thank you. Anything else? Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes. Okay, now,
Does she have to abstain
Oh,
because she
Oh,
wasn't
Oh,
here?
true.
that's the one I wasn't at.
It says you were there.
Oh, okay then.
oh,
I need to abstain, I'm
oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, okay.
Okay.
4-1. Okay. Now, this was put in your packet and some of it was left out. And that's for July 6th, 2016. And that was the night we met to choose the candidates.
I think we can try this one either.
No,
Okay.
Didn't we do this last week?
no.
Because I changed this last week. What I said, it says a couple of ladies that always reply. It's not a couple of board members that
I
always
didn't-
reply.
They said we didn't do it.
You had said just a heads up. I'd like this.
Oh, that's right too.
changed.
Okay.
So it
Yeah,
wasn't
so
changed.
on the back page of mine, of the,
Person, Larry, or,
for Peg Herds,
oh, you,
Two
okay.
of five,
Yeah, go ahead.
the couple of ladies.
The ladies at the
there should be a
back.
couple of board members.
Is that it?
I have a correction.
Go ahead.
On that same page at the top, my introduction, and I have no clue what prior to all of that Nielsen at CUS rounded negotiations, and that's about it.
You want it stricken?
I think that,
Yeah.
that was contract, teacher contract negotiations, wasn't it?
Well, that's what I did was,
Okay,
I
yeah,
talked
that's
about
odd.
negotiations,
Okay.
but I had no clue what Nielsen at CUS rounded was. So maybe just, I mean, I said something about business. I don't know. I don't remember what I said now,
Oh,
but I didn't say that.
okay. You want
You know what? Let's just strike that.
that whole last
Yeah,
sentence?
because I can't.
Remember? That's fine.
But it
Anybody,
wasn't that.
anybody else? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion?
Do I have a second?
I will.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained,
Peg, come on.
401. You said that,
So we're not,
I'm sorry?
we're not looking at 713.
No, I made an announcement, they gotta be rewritten,
Okay.
and I will take care of that.
Okay, so this one we're not doing?
No, gotta be rewritten.
Okay.
Oh, 713, okay.
Well, yeah, I'll take care of that. Mr. Sussman?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here today, and I'm glad to see all the folks that are here getting involved. First off, the bits and pieces that I sent to the school board, and I included in there some things that you folks should be aware of as we talked about. Now, as far as tonight goes, I'm very proud to introduce to you Christy Heichel, our new assistant principal. Can you please stand up and say hello? She brings to us, she's very enthused, she's very upbeat, and I think her and John Frank will be a great one-two team. I think that they'll bring a lot of life to the students, and I think that they'll connect and relate and catch students being good, which it's all about. I'd like to thank everyone on the committee. I met some of the committee. They came over to say hello, which was great. And we're very proud to have her, and she brings a lot of energy to our staff. Thank you very much for having come, and I thought the board would like to say hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Very nice to meet
Christy.
you. We'll chat later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on.
Also, we're very glad, I haven't met him, been introduced to him, but I believe you must be Steve?
Yes.
Okay. I had called Steve, and he was very kind to speak with me on the phone. He's from Back Bay, and he's here so that we can extrapolate what is exactly the fees that will be SAU related and what fees will be as to the schools. And right off the top of his head, he said, I think it'd be about 5,000. And from, you can see the report there that he sent. You hand those out.
Yes, they've got them.
Good. It looked like 4,600. So I kind of put him on the spot, and he was very on with what he had said. Principal Safina, John Frank, we had a conversation about
Just means he really likes you if you already have a
I
nickname.
had superintendent's compliments.
about moving the art position from 3/5 to 4/5 and the other position from full-time to 4/5. And, you know, just right off the bat, we could ascertain that it would be health insurance involved. So that's the kind of thing under the constraints that we're on that we, John had said, and we conferred in his report, in my report, we both conferred that at this point, we're gonna keep it as it is because of the constraints as far as the budget, and we can take a look at it for next year, based upon input. Also too, as far as the checks are concerned, as I had said to the administrative staff, it's very important that when we make those checks, the pivotal checks, as far as all new staff is concerned, that we actually get them returned. In the past, I think sometimes they have only been the fact that they were done. So being done and coming back fine is not quite the same thing. So I think that it'll be incumbent on us to hire the staff early so the fingerprints can come back, because I think the law says they need to actually be back. And I think in practice, for whatever reason, the district has only indicated, both districts, Wakefield and here, that they just needed to be done but not returned. Yes.
We've gotten in trouble with that. They've hired some people that had records and they had to let them go after the fact, so I like that idea.
Yeah, I mean, what's the sense in even having it if it's not returned? You know, it makes, okay, but, you know, I think we all concur on it. There's the reason the law is the law, and it's leaving the district open and leaving us open as administration and school superintendent. And more importantly, kids themselves. It's meant to protect kids and not that. So that, and also too, I received a call. I spoke with from the state ed, and I spoke to Scott, and I've spoken to Ann, and there's a possibility that SIG funds, School in Need of Improvement funds, have just been received. As you know, the ESSA, ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act was passed, and there's some maneuverability as far as SIG schools and focus schools and priority schools and all that. And you know, a lot of us that have been around education for many years have seen No Child Left Behind, effective schools, and an array of things. I don't want to date myself, but I've seen a lot of those things come and go. But the point being, we're going to examine at the retreat. Our team, our administrative team, and some of the staff are going to meet with her from state ed and ascertain if we would like the grant. Apparently, Scott has indicated in the past when you have received the grant that there are certain things involved with tech that had to be maintained, and sometimes grants are good, but you have to use them well, and they have to be on behalf of students, and the professional development on the part of staff has to fit within it. And more importantly, you don't want it to be seed money for things you have to sustain once the grant is over. So all of that is good. So, but what we will be doing is working as an administrative team. They're basically earmarked as far as the high school is concerned. So we're going to be looking into that, and I'm going to give you an update after the summit on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. During that time, there's some team time where the team meets with the reps and so forth. So we'll be talking to her about that, and I'll keep you appraised of it, whether it's the desire of the staff to go forth with that, and I'll keep you appraised of where we are.
Okay, thank you.
Well, it's not only the staff that has to approve it, this board has to approve it.
Absolutely.
Because we had a SIG grant before, and it did not improve the education of the kids here at all. We had $2.5 million.
So we'll go through the chain first. It has to be something that the staff is in favor of, and then it has to be, the school board has to approve it.
Because I remember last time we had to remove a principal to accept that grant.
Pardon me?
Last time we had the SIG grant, we lost a principal.
How's that?
That was one of the stipulations, I
Yeah,
think,
it
on that
was.
SIG grant.
Yep.
Oh,
At the
And
high school.
another thing that happened is we got an extra math teacher, but we had to keep her even, or I can't remember if it was a man or woman, but we didn't have the money to keep her, you know? And people have got to understand if they're hired for that amount of time, that when that goes away, so does the job.
mhm,
I
You're
mean, that has
exactly
not
right.
been made clear with these grants
mhm.
to the administration. I don't know why, but they think we can keep everybody, and we may not be able to keep everybody.
So is what I'm making in terms of the timetable making sense?
Okay.
So that the staff administration understands it, and the school board understands it, so everybody's transparent and on the same page, and we're sure it's something that's in the best interest of all as far as students' work improving and also too it's fiscally smart in that we have to sustain it and, you know, it commits us for funds.
Okay.
And but thank you because you have a history of it. And
I just have a question going back on one of your previous things you brought up about the MES library. That's going to be put out immediately, or to fill the
I
position?
believe it's already posted.
It's already posted? Okay, I
Yeah,
haven't been
well,
informed.
I think both mine and John's thanks, Doug, we said that I had indicated to John, because the board had to give us the formal okay, we called it in anticipated okay.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And once you gave us the okay, we would say, yes, it's a full-time opening.
Okay.
So we weren't usurping your roles, we called it in anticipated.
Oh, okay,
We
all
were
right.
good boys.
Better be a good boy.
All right.
I do have a question. It's called a librarian media specialist. What is the media part? Yeah, John.
Well, because there are other things that they could do besides books, because paper books are going away.
Okay.
A lot of things. So we're talking about different media that's brought into the classroom. We had a teacher in another school that I was at that taught coding. So there are different things that they bring in.
Taught what?
Also, sometimes it's just like
Coding.
the AV specialists. You know, the audiovisual, but we like them to be oversee more than just our paper books in the library.
Okay, and do they do any extra reading help? You know, class on reading?
I'd have to look at the schedule. There is a WIN block, and that is an, what we call like an RTI, it's an intervention block, and if she or he is available, and there's some students that need reading, then they would be put into that WIN block to teach them. And I think that's pretty much across the board, every unified arts teacher.
John, I think you have a lifeline. I see it now.
I work, if you would like,
Yeah,
to
you're
know,
ready?
I work
He's
really
allowed
closely.
one lifeline.
And there's a lot of online programs that the librarian uses too, and she has he or she has standards that they have to follow, being part of the library media specialist, and they we use at our school Pebble Go, and we also have World Book encyclopedias, so she teaches them how to do research strategies and how to use these medias to do that. And they do have different standards that they have to follow teaching all of the different medias.
Yeah, well, I know our reading is way down, and we need a lot of improvement in regular reading. And I want to make sure that is, if there's any extra time or even not extra time, that the kids get more reading, because this is forever.
I believe they have they have crosswalk standards that they've created, I believe with language arts and other areas like social studies and
Yeah, we
science.
try to integrate with all the subject areas, and so there will be some reading in with the library. And in the past, our previous librarian did a lot with history, with reading, and she tried to do a lot of reading and writing with them too.
Well, you can bet your Vicky I'm going to be spending more time at the MES this year. So plan on seeing me, because I want to make sure that the kids are getting more math and reading. I really do.
You're welcome anytime. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I do a lot of coding. I'm the one that does the coding.
I don't know what coding is.
Well, you learn.
Well, it's a
That's
school.
right. I'm going.
Lou's gonna be
You
an
give us a
intern
report on
this
it.
year at MES,
Okay, SAU,
right?
oh, is that?
No, it's
next?
still you.
Okay. Do I do that next part?
Which part was that one?
The old, the
Nope.
old.
Oh, do we have
the old
principals
business?
report
We'll get back
first?
to it.
No.
No, you gotta tell us, you gotta, the 3 days you're going away.
Oh, August 3rd, 4th, and 5th, we have the ed work that we're going to do in teams. Mary Wilson and I had talked prior to I having come. And in order to move forward on the master plan that the school has and to work with the fine staff we have in administration, we'll be going on that retreat for three days. But part of the superintendent contract for me, the interim, is that the SAU board approves all of the professional development that I do, and the Wakefield board fully conferred that it's okay that I attend that, and the SAU board doesn't meet until the end of next month. So
29th,
I spoke with Doug, and I said that we would present it here so each of the component boards could give their okay.
And who's going and how much?
It's part of the grant.
We had approved it a couple weeks
Summer,
ago,
summer,
Lou,
yeah.
that they had brought forward
Some.
the,
Who's going now?
There's a number of staff going from each of the schools.
Who's going?
So
I don't have a list in front of me, I'm sorry. I don't see.
How many are going?
From, I think there was 6 or 7 registered from MES, I don't know the other schools.
And Scott indicated that he was going with, I think the last time I talked to him this week, 4 or 5, I believe.
And this is covered by a grant?
Yes.
so the premise is like administration and a couple teachers, or like it's a variety of people? or-
Whoever's on the improvement plan committee, whatever. It's about, it's connected to the focus school and priority school things. And so what you do is you take your team,
Okay, so there's an improvement team,
from what I understand.
From what-
I
right.
mean, yes,
Yep.
that's what they did. I haven't really,
and so
don't know what
those,
we've done
the
about it.
people
but-
on the team would go.
Right, and one of the activities is during the team time is for us to meet with the representative from the state education department and discuss the SIG grant and all of those things that we talked about on the pros and cons of whether we should do it.
Oh, that's good.
Now, do
But,
you-
but from this point on, any of those professional development activities with the case of that will be discussed with the entire SAU board.
now, do you, will you stay overnight?
No,
Okay. Does the
Oh,
board,
this is a day?
yeah, it's at UNH.
Oh, at UNH?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I'm not going to Arizona or anything.
We weren't, you didn't tell us that.
Well,
I mean, we need more information.
Yes.
this,
Sorry, I don't mean to, this was the one that has been going on for years, the one that usually has been in Keene. And we've sent teams for the last 4 or 5 years to Keene, but this year it's at UNH, so it's a lot closer and
yeah,
a
that's
lot
good.
less, I wanna say, financial impact on us this year, cause it is so close.
Yeah, I have a question, Doug, on the list of committees that we went over the last time.
yeah,
You and I were on the professional, I think it was you and I, on the professional development. Is this part of that, or?
I'm not sure.
Yes, part of it is they look at the gaps that the.
Well, no, I'm just wondering if Doug and I are on that committee, should we be?
No.
No,
No.
just you are by
Oh,
yourself.
just
Dave.
IR? Just IR, okay.
Just you are, yeah.
You know, I think in the past, I've seen people there on school boards from right?
Mhm.
You know, so if it's the pleasure of the board, there's more seats there that the district has, that Mary had allotted, so.
Oh,
I have no,
Does anybody have
If
any
it's the
objection if I go?
pleasure
Is
of
it
the
covered
board.
by this grant, Earl?
I would think so.
I think there are a couple of people that, due to some unforeseen circumstances, can't go from MES, so we could always, I'll
Well-
call and just transfer and get the name.
Well, right off
your
the
name?
bat, we don't have a curriculum coordinator, so you could be Mary Wilson.
There.
We've also had
Well,
parents
of
go in
course,
the past.
okay.
Yeah, we've had parents go in the past too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think it's good.
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm gonna get involved, it's
Yeah.
like I should start at the bottom
Yeah.
level.
Go right ahead.
I love it.
Gee, thanks, go right ahead.
You-
You gonna
Yeah.
drive me in your
Well done.
motorcycle? or
Sure.
what?
Frank
All right.
John, John
No.
Frank is very excited.
I'll
Hey there,
charge
Mr.
you.
Frank John,
Let's
John
put the name
Frank.
together.
Yeah.
Did everybody get,
Thousands too, so I
Save
don't know
her
if
a
we have.
seat right next to you.
So do what, do Peg and I, do we have approved approval to go?
Only if you carpool.
I'll give you a motion. You have my motion.
You're part of my contract too, is I can't take mileage, so you don't have to worry.
Okay. Do I have a second to Peggy?
Well, you
can
use
use
the
the
company car.
Yeah, that's it.
Peggy, I made the motion and Paul seconded it.
Okay, wait a minute, Doug,
Yeah, motion.
Doug,
Paul seconded
Paul.
it. Seconded it.
Okay, I probably can't vote on that one.
Yes, you can.
Of course you
For
can.
myself, okay.
Yeah, you can.
All in favor?
Aye.
All those in favor, aye, opposed, abstained. Have a good trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, do we approve both me and
Yeah,
Earl?
that was in my motion.
We'll behave ourselves. It's
And
really-
Earl.
And listen, he gets to take the district's car, so don't let him forget to pick you up.
Woohoo!
Did everybody get the updated list on this, what our jobs are? And I'll have to get it out to you.
Where is that?
I mean, I don't know if it's the one, I just wrote mine last time.
I'll take care of it.
I have it somewhere.
Put it in my notes.
So Earl,
Yeah.
Paul's going to drive us on his motorcycle.
Okay.
I'll put a sidecar on. Yeah. We fight over who gets in the sidecar.
Did you want Steve to go now?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the board if I could move back there.
Oh, okay.
Right, at the census?
We have a
Hold
hand.
on.
Will that be the end of discussion on this topic?
Why, you want something to say?
Oh, I have.
Go ahead.
Three generic questions, which is, the comment was made, you don't want to receive funds for programs you have to maintain after the grant ends. Is that a categorical injunction? The $2.5 million SIG grant did not improve the education of the students at all. Do you have results grade by grade? And lastly, does the board take it as necessary to approve the participation of each educational staff member attending the conference?
Larry,
No answer required.
okay, but may I have you do one at a time, please, since I'm taking the minutes and I had no clue what you just said?
Peg can only write so fast. His
Yes.
first question
It
was.
will go out on the minutes are not required to be a verbatim account.
Well,
They're
I know, but I
required
mean,
to have
you asked
a
some
motion
serious
and
questions.
action. That it will be on the tape, that will be enough.
Okay.
Okay, is that it?
What, can I just
Go
talk
ahead.
what he says a little bit? About the first question you had asked. If you could repeat that, just the first question.
The interim superintendent's position, quote, you don't want to receive funds for programs you have to maintain after the grant ends. Categorical injunction?
I meant, are you asking me a question, Larry?
Sure.
Okay, what I was saying is, once grants are done, they need to be sustained. So you have to ascertain, I guess your second question piggybacks off the first. And you want to have some data to show that it was worthwhile, that the performance gaps have been met, that students indeed improved. So from a cost effectiveness standpoint, you want to make sure that in all grants, there's certain seed monies. So you want to ensure that whatever change was done, systemic change was done, it's worthwhile dollars to spend to sustain it. And this is what I was hearing from staff and now from the school board, that they were questioning some of the sustainability. For example, Scott pointed out that there was tech and there was equipment that was part of the grant, and now they have to sustain it within the budget itself. So when they make a determination on whether they should choose to go with the grant, this grant, they want to ensure that there aren't aspects of the grant that will be costly to keep up. I hope that I answered you.
And can I say something to the second question? I'm glad that you kind of brought it up because I had wanted to say something. I think that what I've asked and board members have asked is kind of going forward is to have more communication, to let us know what's working and what's not working. I think in the past, there seems to have been little communication, which is maybe why there's a feeling that things didn't improve. I think I can't speak for Lou, just like Lou can't speak for all of us. I don't think it's a fact that the SIG grant did not work, because I think I haven't heard or seen any data, and I think that that's what we've asked for, is actual data to support these grants, so that when the grants end, we have a better understanding of what we want to keep and what we don't think is appropriate to keep.
Paul? Did you have something?
She pretty much answered
Okay.
it. It's like with any grant, you know, for instance, like a COPS grant or a teacher grant, the grant will support them for 3 years. You know, on the 4th year, it's up to the town to come up with the full salary, benefits, and all that. Is that something that we can take on with the tax base, the tax burden we have now? And we have to weigh those options when we say yay or nay to these grants. That somewhere, I mean, even though it's a grant, as we know, most things are not free, and we end up having to do something about it in the end. So that's where we have to look at these grants, you know, with a magnifying glass to see exactly, you know, oh, it's a grant, let's get free money, and then where we're gonna end up paying in the end.
And I think where this is the start of a new school year, maybe the focus, I know there's a lot of work, but instead of just focusing on the SIG grants, I guess maybe somehow come up with a list of the grants we have and what's coming up. Like, I know one of the grants for, what's the position that we just approved 50% of? Don Martin's position. This student resource. I know, like, next year we're gonna have to approve whether we fully fund it.
We already did that.
So,
It's already done. Did it this year.
Well, for
I
instance,
don't think that was I guess I'd have to go back, because I was under the impression what we did was approve 50%.
You approved the second half of that 50%. We were paying for the first 50%. So it's 100% now we're paying.
He's right.
I didn't understand that. So again, like, better.
Larry, were you part of
communication
the
then.
conversation when the police chief came in and talked about the school resource officer?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you know exactly what that's about. We're gonna start footing the bill as we get farther along in the tenure of that officer. And it's great to have a DARE officer back in the school. You know, I'm all for it. And you know, the first year it's free, second year we pay, the third year we pay more, fourth year we get the burden. So that's
But we
what
already
we're
have a
doing.
DARE officer in the schools.
That officer, school resource officer, is going to take over the DARE position as well.
Right now, we do
If it
have
gets
somebody in the
approved.
system.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
I don't want
anyway,
the people to think we don't have a DARE officer.
no, but for a while we did not.
You're right, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Uh,
I digress.
Steve, I think the main reason we brought you in to ask you some questions about SAU withdrawal, in that proposal, if I'm wrong, or I'll speak up for anybody else, was an estimate from Back Bay for $68,800. Do you have that copy in front of you? You got one?
No.
Oh, I'll get one right here. We're trying to figure out,
It's like the 10th line.
where does that 68,800 break down? Who's technically responsible? Is part of it in MES? Am I wrong? In Newt?
I think going back, Steve, when we had the conversation on the phone, you had indicated that Mike had called you
Yes.
to come up with a number, because I asked you how it was derived to 68, but you hadn't seen that sheet.
Right, yeah. And so that was something that Michael, Cersei, and I discussed over the phone in terms of how that would affect without Wakefield being a component of the district.
This is the basic equipment we're gonna need in the building?
That's the support for the buildings, for the actual IT support,
For all the buildings or just SAU 64?
for all of the buildings.
What are you talking about, all the buildings?
For new MES and the SAU
And the Damon House?
and the Damon House.
So
Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
first question, one of the things the biggest things we brought up, as you know, the split up of the SAU we're going to be doing. We're going to be moving the SAU into the Damon House.
Okay.
So, in theory, when you downsize, this number should go less.
That
Because we're gonna be
number-
using less equipment than we had before. We don't have to maintain the SAU office anymore. We already have a lot of equipment in the Damon House that's already being maintained. So shouldn't, in theory, this number go down?
But all of the equipment that's at the SAU office is for the district, and that has to move somewhere, and that still needs to be maintained. So there is a component of the SAU, but it's related to SAU services, which is the number that I came up with that I submitted today, which was for support related to SAU staff. So this number reflects not having Wakefield as a part of that, but just having Milton, which included the SAU, and now that the SAU is moving to the Damon House, and whether it's full-time or not, so we calculated what the portion of support was just for the SAU staff, and that's the number that I submitted today.
That 60, you
Which
mean,
was what, the 5,000?
Is it the same number?
68,000.
688?
What we did was the
You should got another
calculation
paper in
was the
your-
No.
yes, you do.
$4,761.
You do have it.
That's
What is
on
that
there.
number?
Oh,
Everyone I have is the 68.8.
Tech
What?
services, 68.
Yeah.
I have a 68.8 and I have a 68,000 even.
And I have another 68.8.
I don't have a 4, I don't
Looks
have
like
that.
this.
I don't.
Yeah, it was.
You should have had that, 'cause I passed it out in everybody's.
So is that instead of 68 or?
That would be the portion that is allocated to the SAU staff. So the SAU moves there and it's not
You gave- you
full-time
gave
or
me
not part of
copies
it.
of
it. I do not have it,
That number
Doug.
would come
We
out of
don't
the
have it.
68.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
you
we
do.
don't have it.
That is to reduce the 68, so it would be 64.
But wait a minute, Lou, before we go on, we gotta find that piece of paper. I thought I put it in everybody's folder.
Excuse me,
I
you're
didn't
on my
see
table
Oh,
too much.
that's your, us.
This is your line, this is your table, this is my table.
Excuse me, your elbows in there.
Kids,
Yes.
kids. Oh, I apologize, I thought I put it in there. You gave me copy.
All right, could Nathan just read it to it, or pass it around, or?
Go ahead and read it, Nathan.
ahead.
Lou would be
we
a,
believe
she wants,
you.
she wants reading skills, this is your chance. Let's do this.
Okay, I have evaluated the past support provided to the SAU office and calculated the dollar amount assigned to that. For the purpose of this calculation, I have divided a total number of hours we have had staff in the district into the contract amount. The effective hourly rate of our services calculated to $40 an hour. The tickets for the SAU staff support based on tickets and requests for the 15-16 school year added up to 92 hours. This number represents support for SAU staff on issues related only to the SAU office. I have excluded any server-related support performed at the SAU that is for school use. Back Bay staff did work out of the SAU office, so there was some support performed outside of the normal channels, which I will add 15% to the ticket time to include that. The total calculated hours with the 15% is
Earl found 'em.
Oh,
$105.8
you can pass them to me.
at
You're doing
$45
good, you're doing good, Nate.
an hour. The cost allocated to the SAU for support is $4,761 per year.
Just for the SAU.
Sorry.
Just for the
So
SAU.
the total is still 68. We're breaking that 68 down? Am I following?
We're extrapolating out.
Right. Because
the
we wanted to
part
be very
that's
specific to the
specifically
SAU.
SAU.
Right.
That is what I had mentioned to Doug, and then you brought up at the last school board meeting, Stephanie. You
Great
know,
minds
we were-
think alike.
We were thinking the same thing, and then I called him, and he explained that Michael Tercy had simply asked him what was the entire Milton part and what was the entire Wakefield part. And from that, he took out, just took out the piece that is specific to what the SAU does, which is in the Damon, which will be in the Damon House now. So that way it gives you an accurate read, because if you were going to be absorbed by another district, then Milton would still remain having to take care of the buildings themselves. You see what I'm saying? Somersworth would not pick up $68,000. Milton's operating budget, Milton School District's operating budget would still need to have the 63 in it or whatever the case is. Am I correct?
So what should that
I
figure be? I
understand.
was distracted, so.
$4,761.
So that's gonna come off.
But
Almost,
the rest of it needs to be, what Earl said, the 63 needs to be put into the school budget.
so it never put in the school budget. Nate, was it ever put in the school
It
budget?
is in the school budget, yes.
So we actually repeated the figure?
Oh my gosh.
Did we do that?
Apparently.
So we had it in two places.
Oh my Christ.
No, that's just.
Lou? Language?
In the operating budget, it has Milton's portion. It's always been there.
But it's in the high school and the middle school.
Yeah.
And it's part of this 68. I want to understand that totally.
It is part of that 68. So all you gotta do is take this 68 and make it a 4761.
Okay, that makes me happy because that,
I told
This number here is inaccurate.
I didn't say you were right or wrong. We
Okay.
needed clarification. Okay, so that drops this down below, well below our 410.
I don't know, well,
Well, if you subtract 63 from 464 is 401.
yeah.
My school had math.
I see what you mean. So the total cost for the SAU is just gonna be that $4,000.
Correct.
So take that off the,
Take
that's
the
what it's gonna-
61 off.
So
of
take the 60
63
whatever off of there.
off the bottom
And
of
that
the
puts us under the
464.
500.
Oh, okay.
That
All
gives you
right.
401.
That was my question.
I like that better already.
And then the other part's
Thank
gonna be
you,
wound into the school
Stephanie, for
budget.
your tangnakerous. How do I want to put that?
And it's already in.
Get the
our-
whole
So
phone.
the 464
For
should
this
be
year,
changed to
that's
400,185.54.
Correct.
What is that?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, the
What was the addition?
400,185.54
Wait.
cents.
400,000 what?
185,
So we're gonna need a fifth revision of this.
54 cents.
Thank you.
Gonna have the-
Well, that makes it a little
So,
easier.
but I want to clarify, remember,
ahead.
being recorded, Nathan. So this other amount is already in the school budget, so we're not going to be,
Sabotage.
right, that, well.
Surprised.
Surprise.
Surprise.
So we accidentally put the 68 for everything into the SAU.
Into this
Right.
mock
So
budget.
that
Mock
changes
budget.
things considerably.
Yes.
That's why in the next piece of it, where it says old business SAU planning, I think that you were getting on the right channel in dividing up from Wakefield. But now you gotta fine tune it and go over every one of those expenditures and ascertain what specifically is in it and how best to address it. So you have the lowest possible cost in the long run when in the end the comparison is being made by being absorbed, which I'll get into in the next phase.
So do we have any more questions for Steve?
Do we need all this other stuff, Steve, while you're here? Is that 40,000 part of you? Is the sonic wall
No, that's
part
not
of
him.
you?
No.
No.
He's the networking, computer, all the hardware, right?
Stuff.
Hardware,
I
network,
thought
Wi-Fi.
sonic wall was part of them.
They are. Those are service agreements to maintain that equipment, and you'll still need that equipment. Those other agreements are to provide those services. I don't know exactly.
License renewals.
Yeah, they're contracts to have those. So if you don't renew those, then you don't have a financial system, you don't have a student information system, you don't have internet, you don't have those things if those don't stay in there.
See, so I wasn't wrong, it is part of them.
Other than
What is a
control.
sonic wall, Steve? Can you explain that to me, because I am,
The sonic wall is the firewall that provides internet to the district or to the PSAU office.
It should also block certain
It's the-
websites websites and stuff?
The content filter as well, yes.
Yeah, alright, good.
And the Power School, is that the one where the parents can get homework and stuff for their,
That's the student information system that all of the students are in, and that's where they do grading and attendance.
so the Nutri-Kids, is that where parents can see how much they owe the school for lunches?
Yes,
And as well as,
that's how they track everything, so that's what food service uses to provide. They enter every student in as they go through when they eat.
and the parents can look at that?
I believe that includes the parent portal as well, so they can look online and they can fund that. I don't know 100% if that was included, but I believe they added that last year.
Yeah, because I just understand that a lot of parents are getting bills and surprised by what their kids have ordered. And that was my question with the Nutri-Kids, can parents access that information
No.
for their child?
Yeah, yes, that was said last time, I think.
Sounds like it's new.
Yeah, it is. Now, did anybody have the questions? You asked that Donna Hull and Penny Baker be here. Does anybody have any questions for them?
That number changed a lot of things.
Changed a lot of things.
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Did a lot of things, so that's, I
Well, I
appreciate that very
agree.
much.
I'm sure we're going to have questions for you too.
Well, can I have a comment?
Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
I
Phil.
just wanted to make a couple of comments. We have some technology issues at the elementary school. We continue to have some internet problems. Our wireless internet is very slow and it's
Can we-
unreliable.
I think we'd rather discuss that non-public.
No.
Yeah.
Do you not want me to talk about this?
No, non-public.
Why?
Okay.
Why is it
Yeah,
non-public?
why?
We
Well,
need to,
we
this
need-
was the discussion was around.
We're not here to criticize someone. It's-
not
Right,
criticizing.
absolutely.
I don't want
We're
to think
ta-
he's on the hot spot.
No, and I don't want him to think that either. But I
Okay,
think
Steve,
we're
shut
talking.
your ears.
If we're talking about SAU planning, we have to go down that list and we have to talk about putting the stuff out to bid. Isn't it by law that we have to put things out to bid
Correct.
anyways? And so if we're talking about the SAU planning and talking about putting things out to bid, we already have Back Bay's bid. And so maybe, I don't know if,
We just did fiber optics on this whole system, and that cost us some.
Excuse
I
me,
guess-
Wait
point
a
of
minute.
order. Okay, good.
Did fiber optics, and I was told that improved everything.
well, I think the computer teachers would know better than us at the school board level. And you're the one that asked Donna Hull and Penny Baker to be here tonight.
No, I wasn't the only one. It was a joint board meeting. I mean, the board asked for that.
Okay. A few school board members asked for them to be here tonight. They took time out of their summer to
Yeah.
be here. So if we're going to tell them that we didn't want them to comment,
No,
we
that
need
is-
to be careful about, I guess, what we request.
Mm.
Maybe it would have been more appropriate for them to have a meeting with the principal and the superintendent instead.
So that's what he was just.
That's,
Okay, go ahead.
Donna and I met today, and hearing about some of the issues, I think it's best, I'm gonna make a suggestion to the board that Penny and Donna work with the superintendent and the principals to decide what we want to report to the board, because I think we're gonna muddy the issues, and I believe that there are a lot of different things, and it's not necessarily just Back Bay or whatever. So I think it's best that we discuss it and then present it to you.
I'd rather
But
do.
basically, without having talked with them, I think it's a past frustration where now, they'll be able to meet with the administration and discuss it so that we could go through the channels.
Yeah.
But,
And again, this is-
I'm sure that they've been frustrated to some degree in that this is whatever they're discussing thing. But everybody's on the same page. We're gonna go through the channels. They'll speak with the principals and the school superintendent, and we'll bring it forth, and then we'll work it through where it
Get your hand
applies to him. Is that okay? Okay.
Okay, Lou?
I do want you to let us know because we are trying, I think this whole board is after more transparency and things not being hidden.
Yeah. Okay.
And we need that, and we're interested, and we care, okay? And, I'll limit my mouth to that right now.
Go
I
ahead.
just think also we're at a crossroads where we're kind of feeling under the wire around this budget and around the SAU splitting and around what we need to do as a board. Do we need to get bids? Do we need to look at other, not just Back Bay, but all of these things? Because we're being asked by the majority of the townspeople to lower our budget as much as possible. But we also want to support the schools with what is going to help them be successful. So that's just why this transparency is really important, and a lot of talking needs to be happening, and a lot of reporting back to us needs to be happening, so the board knows the direction we need to take.
The main reason for bringing those individuals in was to determine about this price here, if it could be lowered. Nothing else. I had no intention about the rest of you. I had no intention of going beyond that point. Now that I know the truth about this, then we'll deal with it.
I do agree with that.
What's that?
I agree with what Doug said. He was here for one reason, that's to talk about our SAU budget.
Oh, absolutely, Back
So,
Bay. I
as far
think
as
school
questions
board, we
go-
had two separate things going on.
But as far as other questions, I think that's a good point. About slow internet and all that, that's things that can be addressed. But for the purposes of
We'll work on it, I
for the
promise you.
dollar value of what we're doing, that's what the main reason.
And we do want to hear you guys. We want to know. And so does the administration. We've got 3 brand new administrators. And we want to know, and they're good guys, and if not, well, they better be.
I'm sorry if you misinterpreted why you were coming in, but that was the premise for you coming in. And if you
What
got
was the premise exactly?
we were trying to determine where that 6,800 was and where it belonged.
Well, they
I looked
wouldn't
in the
know
budget,
the
I never could
budget.
even find, I never knew how much we paid Back Bay. I mean, it just
Yeah.
wasn't a concern. The one thing that I think you guys just need to keep in mind is, I mean, Back Bay, they do a good job, for the most part, you know. But one thing that they don't do is they don't fix printers. And I think we pay Conway office supplies. I don't know what the deal is with them. So just so you guys know, when you think computers and printers are not, they're not the same, just so you know.
Oh, really?
Well, you know they're not the same, but I meant they're not the, they're not the, they're
No,
not coming
I
from the
would
same
have
monies.
thought it was part of,
Okay, yeah, just so you.
thank you for that.
just so you're-
Can we
It's a
look in the,
clarification.
So
We
can
look-
we clarify, we're asking Mr. Sussman and Mr. Safina to talk to,
Yes.
and Mr. Courier, I guess, to talk to their
I'm-
technology team to get
yes.
some feedback?
I'm more than happy they do that.
Yeah, and we'll keep you posted.
Tickle pink.
And we'll indicate when I send my 2-week report out what their concerns were and what our plan is to help them with those concerns and where we are and keep you abreast of what's going on.
When you apply for that SIG grant, see if you can buy printers.
Okay. Is that part of the computer?
Well,
No,
it's got a cord.
okay.
All right.
Not necessarily.
Next.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That wasn't too bad, was it?
Ladies for coming in.
Oh,
Oh, wait a minute.
Larry has the.
Wait a minute.
Oh, wait a
You
second.
might, just a small point, you might want to walk slow, this is for your protection. Under 91A, where there is matters which is discussed in public would likely adversely affect the reputation of any person other than a member of the board should be handled confidentially. And the consideration or negotiation of pending contracts are also something which could have an adverse effect on one party or another. So, your own decisions which are
So, non-public.
Non-public.
For anything.
you.
without prejudice to transparency in meetings.
That's why we keep Larry here.
Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
ladies, for
Thank you.
coming in. We appreciate it.
Bye.
Hi,
Bye.
I'm Penny Baker, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I teach at the high school and middle school.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm just.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else, Earl?
No,
Moving
thank
on.
you. Thank you.
Uh,
Earl.
John? John,
Your report, John?
you're up.
Oh,
Are you ready?
well, I didn't bring a copy. I didn't know you
I
wanted me to
have
speak
your
about it.
report here.
You got any,
I guess
Do we
any
have to-
questions
do we
in the
have
past,
to-
what I've
yeah,
done
do
is
we-
Yeah.
just submit my
More
report and ask if you
you
had
have any questions for
about
him?
No, I don't.
Anybody?
It's very short right now, I'm sorry.
I do have, I want to go back to one thing real quick about the art and the librarian. I'm reading what it says here. We can't change the budget because of why?
Default.
Default does what? If we were to go this is my own personal question. If we were to bring the librarian back to 4/5,
Got to increase the medical.
They both would need, if we increase the art to 4/5, we have to provide health
and
insurance.
if we
And
decreased,
retirement.
librarian, we'd have to provide it?
Yes, because that's not at part-time. If we
Thank you.
decreased it to
Yeah.
3/5.
Gotcha.
And the two-person was like $22,000.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had on that.
That's what it's kind of hard to ask to understand. I try to explain it, but yeah, in there is 3/5, 4/5, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that's a very good point.
But we really need more reading for the kids.
Well, we're gonna,
Yep.
We need more reading because they're,
I was just trying to figure out what the 3/5, 4/5, now it makes
Yeah.
sense, so.
John, you're still on the hot seat. Go ahead. Anybody else have any more questions for him?
Any other questions?
Are we gonna do another, I know we were talking about it before, it's kind of away from the principal's report, but another teachers forum? Remember we had back in June? We said we're gonna
I
touch
think the
base
high
with them
school
again.
wants one.
In high, well, I
The
know we
high
told the
school
elementary
is.
school we were gonna get back with them September and October. That's still going to happen, correct?
The board wants it?
Yep.
I'll go along with it.
but the high school asked for one too.
Let's do it.
No
Okay.
problem.
Yep.
I'm all for hearing.
well, one idea, and this might just be an idea, and you guys can, I guess we can talk about it and ask them what they thought. I was thinking if it made sense for us to see if we were wanted at the couple days of school starting, like the kickoff, or I guess that's a bad idea. I'm thinking out loud. Never mind. I'll go with what Paul said.
Earl.
Point of clarification, the teacher forum, is that when?
We met with the teachers with no principals, no vice principals, no judgment, no nothing. We just wanted to hear. There was rumors and whatever about, some things that may have been not being taken care of and being addressed, so we wanted to hear it directly. And it was very, very productive. A lot of things were addressed that were really good. And we told them we'd like to, and they agreed, or if they like to still, we follow up. Once we talked about the new foundation of everything getting started. Brand new principal, brand new vice principal now. Hi. And everything starting on a fresh foundation where they want to build. And we keep checking in with that. How's the building going? Where do we need to steer? What direction do you need to go as a group to keep this going in a positive way? And that's what we want to keep doing, is make sure we keep checking in, make sure those things are getting done, and it doesn't become an us versus them or something along that line.
Team approach.
Yep.
Okay. Is that it?
I mean, should we,
So maybe in October. Once school gets established and once the gears start turning, everybody starts to work together, we can find out where the weak links would lie. That's what I was thinking, give it a month or so until the school starts really getting into effect and then checking in.
Well, I hope you'll give me more than a month to get
well,
away.
that's what I'm thinking. Should
Yeah.
we wait until?
We have a lot to do. in the
Well,
month.
I think early,
Like
middle
end of October,
or
end of
something.
October. I mean, and I'll say, okay, well, what's wrong here, what's wrong there, but,
No.
okay, everybody's getting together, they're starting to work. What do you feel is different? What can we, short-term improvement, short range? What are the goals? What are the goals that we want to do before the end of the 16-17 season, year that we haven't seen before? and that we can really instill now, well, everybody's new and people aren't set in their ways. Okay, this is how we're gonna do things, and that, you know, we can, everybody, how would we like to do things? And we can kind of work with it, so.
Okay.
But it's
Turn
not
them
all
over a new leaf.
one-sided either.
No, me, I've always wanted to do this.
We all set, moving on? Is that for Prince,
And just, I guess, clarification from the board for me. And when I've done principals reports like this, it becomes part of the minutes, and I just say any questions, or I might highlight certain things. And I usually do, if I'm prepared for a presentation, if I'm trying to show you why you need the art teacher, then I would have a presentation. So do you want me to do something different with the board reports, or is that fine?
everybody happy?
Ask questions,
Yeah.
if you have any questions, and
Right.
highlight a
Believe
few
me, if we
things.
have questions, John, you'll get them.
And I know it's summertime too, so there's not a lot going
Yeah.
on. But like, you know, previous principals said, hey, these are the activities that are going on. We have a play coming, whatever that, you know, what the, you know, we had a music show, that kind of thing. It's interested to know what they're doing, that's all. So.
Okay. All set, moving on? Number 7, old business. I don't think it makes any sense to, well,
SAU planning, I had spoken with, I called Jen Mosca, who is, as you know, the school superintendent of the Somersworth School District, on Monday. And I was interested to see what their timetable, what the proposed timetable in terms of their plans for absorbing the SAU roles that I shared with you last time. I gave you the chart of what she had given me when I met with her. So when I called her on Monday, I asked her, where are we? The last time I went there to speak to her, she had indicated that the board chair of our board and myself and herself and her 3 board chairs would meet and take a look at what their proposal might look like. And I asked her when that would happen, could we get a time for that? And she was hoping that the second week in August would be the time to do that. Then I said to her, when is this going to be presented to your entire SAU board? And she indicated that she was hopeful to bring it to them the first week in September. And the other thing we talked about was what was the expenditure entailed for an administrative assistant that would be maintained, and I gave that to her as well. So I confirmed it. Our takeaway points, I sent those 3 points to her. Thank you for your collaboration. This is to confirm our conversation, inclusive of today, regarding these 3 points. And she sent back, thank you. So that affirms our discussion, and that gives you a complete update on where we are. So hopefully, Doug and I are going to wait for her to set up that date. We're going to go down, meet with her and their 3 board chairs, get a feeling on where that proposal is, and then she is going to meet with their SAU board. So I, you know, in fairness to the district and everyone, I'm trying to move this ahead so we know what we're comparing things to.
we need it as soon as possible. And we're keeping a, what do you say, a thumb on it? Finger on it? Luke?
I just have a concern when the word absorbed is used, because I don't want to be absorbed by Somersworth. To me, we're maybe hiring their help, but I don't want them telling us what we're gonna do.
Well, I think it's their professional term of what this is called, when another town hires
It was my term that I
Okay.
used, I'm sorry.
Okay. It
Because
just scares the heck out of me.
basically, what it meant was their superintendent that is provided, that plan that I gave you, the tentative plan, called for an assistant superintendent curriculum coordinator. they have an existing curriculum coordinator who has superintendent certification. So they would re-term, this is just on the status. I'm giving you complete transparency, giving you everything I know. So basically, they would make the curriculum coordinator, which was Mary Wilson here, they would, if it would, you know, who, let's say were she, they call her the assistant superintendent curriculum coordinator. That person would be the one that would come here tonight. Or if that person was not available, a designee would go there. It would not be, at this point, Jen Mosca at all.
Okay. And you're
You-
saying that amount is the 74? Or what is?
No, I know there's no price to it. I was just simply giving you the roles and responsibilities and why I was using the term absorb, because their current SAU has a curriculum coordinator. They would re-term the person's job description.
I think Stephanie's
I'm
question
sorry.
is about the
Stephanie,
$74,000.
That's the administrative assistant. That has nothing to do with the superintendent.
Oh, that we would still
That
pay
would
for
be
the.
like she is now
Yeah.
Kathy.
Yes.
So
Okay.
that would be a Kathy type position. So I'm trying to
Mhm.
put a name with what the position looks like so you could compare apples to apples.
Okay.
Then
Oh,
going forth so that you understand it, as Doug and I meet with them, then the business official, which is Nate, they would have their accounts paid, the person in charge of accounts payable be your BA. They're increasing that person's role because they have school business administrator certification. So their current BA, their business official, would not be the one that would be coming here. It would be their accounts payable person. So basically, they're stretching existing personnel, and so I'm using the word absorb, because basically what they're doing is taking their
Right, I
existing
get it.
staff and absorbing us into there by increasing the role of those people that are aspiring.
Look,
But
Okay.
we are not, this person that's gonna move up to assistant superintendent has no experience with it, and we're not getting the top. We're not really getting a professional superintendent that knows what they're doing with any experience. What they're doing is we're gonna pay for their people to improve themselves. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what the current status is. If it changes when Doug and I meet with them, but when I gave you what those job descriptions were, I gave it out last time, I'm providing clarification.
Right,
I just had
and-
that one meeting, whatever Mike Tercey talked to her, I mean, she tried to give me a synopsis of that. I have not talked with him, so this is all I know, and I'm explaining it. What it might change depending on when we meet with their school board or whatever the case is, but we will come back and fully explain whatever it looks like. So
But-
right now, you're correct, that
Okay.
basically, and that's why I use the word absorb, because they're taking their existing staff and they're increasing their roles and encompassing us within that. So the existing business administrator would not be your business administrator. The existing superintendent would not, I mean, they would have oversight and so forth
Yeah,
to
but-
some degree, but physically, you're not gonna see them.
We're not gonna get, I don't think any of us thought that's what we were kinda looking for. I mean, I don't think we wanted new guys that don't know what they're doing.
Well, I see it as under like a supervisory role. And that's what I think that's gonna be why we need the information, Lou. And then we can put it out to the first we can
Well-
talk about the pros and cons as our
I
board,
mean-
and then we can put it out to the taxpayers. This is the pros and cons with contracting out. This is the pros and cons with keeping it in.
Well,
One
I'm
of
just
those is
saying,
going
we're
to
not
have
gonna get the people that really know what they're doing.
Well,
These
we
people
can't-
that
I
they
think
wanna
that-
give us are learning.
I think that what you're saying is, I know, like when I came to interview, you asked me some very good questions, you all did, and you grasped the education. This gentleman, Larry, asked three very, very good questions about the grant. What the issue is gonna be is when people are, as the taxpayers go to vote, what we're explaining tonight, it's gonna be very hard to fully explain what that proposal is from an education perspective, because does the average person really, and that's why, you use all these educational terms and you make reports, and a lot of times most people don't understand what the heck you're talking about. So how are they ever gonna understand that a curriculum coordinator is being made an assistant superintendent and accounts payable is being made a BA? I mean, I'm explaining this a good number of times, and you're school board members, and you have a working knowledge of education. I think it's going to be a huge undertaking to try to begin to explain this to people when they go to vote. I'm just giving you, that's why I'm here for the year, to try to give some guidance and support. And I think that's going to be a very huge issue, to try to get a clear explanation and how to explain that.
But Jenny did also mention in the meeting that I was at, she was willing to come in, talk to the board as a whole before they'll give you the finger, then they'll come in and answer your questions. And then we'll have to, once we get the price, definitely do a public forum so people can ask their questions. These are some of the questions you should write down and say for, I hope it's her that comes in, 'cause that's what I'd like to talk to. And she was clear on one thing. She said it very clear that we'll have a member on the joint board, but that member will not have a vote. All we'll do is sit and listen. And we will be able to make our own decisions at a local level and conduct our own business at the local level.
Because basically, that's what students, if the school board has a student representative on it, the student sits on the board but does not vote. So in essence, you would be almost like a student rep. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm being frank. You're going to be there, but you're not going to have.
We
have
can't
a vote.
control what Summersworth's gonna do.
Yeah, and in the end, the board is a board. A board has always some power. I mean, you vote. If there's five of you. If 4 of you or 3 or 4 of you know you're going to vote a certain way, you just say, okay, at a certain point, let's vote, and you vote. So you can talk all night, but you don't have the vote. So that is, as you're saying, needs to be explained fully as well.
Okay.
You have a hand up.
Go ahead, Barb, I'm sorry.
Barbara Hughes, Milton Mills. I have a question about what you just said. If you're considering what I would call contract services to Summersworth, you're calling absorb, but I believe in previous meetings before you came on board, it was discussed contract services. So you're talking about contract services to the Summersworth SAU to take on aspects or to contract out the SAU 64. And for that money, Milton does not get a voting seat on that SAU district?
That's the way that's the
That
way
is
I
correct.
understand it.
It has something
I'm
to
just curious
do.
and ask the board, don't you think for your money that you should get a vote? One
It's not
individual's
something
vote?
that, right, from how we were explained when we were looking at contracting schools out, there's different setups of contracts. So if you contract with another town, you can be a joint. If you contract with a
We
city,
have questions.
then they're in
about-
a different,
Oh,
they're in a
we
different
do?
Mhm.
category.
Like,
So
like-
it's not that Milton can't vote to go away, to take that contract away. If Summersworth is doing something we don't want, we'll always have that vote here in Milton to say we choose not to contract with Summersworth anymore. But yes, I mean, unless they talk about it in negotiations, the norm, it sounded like, was that
But you would, for example, enter into a contract with them for a year, and let's just say you do have a contractual obligation. And just because they do something that you don't like, Stephanie, you just all of a sudden as a group just can't say, well, we're done with you guys and leave you on without SAU services. And so you would have to go full circle until contract renegotiations come up. And you still don't have a vote. I'm just curious and concerned that it's going to come to light as you're maybe trying to explain to the voters their choice to pay, to contract services out, when they find out that you don't actually have a voting member for your money.
I guess the way that it was explained the first time, and it's very preliminary, obviously, is any business that goes on here, the board has full voting. The activities that go on within Milton for schools, contracts, all those kind of things, we have the full say on. But when it comes to Summersworth's SAU, that controls what the SAU votes for
Right.
in Summersworth, we are not a voting member of that portion of it. But they can't, Summersworth SAU can't come in and say, okay, we're gonna do this, 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 and this to Milton. And we as a board can they don't have a say what goes on in Milton within other schools and things but the SAU services that Summersworth does, just that portion, we don't have a vote in. Trust me,
it sounds, so an example would be, we wouldn't have a vote in them hiring a superintendent.
exactly, that kind of thing.
So Summersworth School Board would vote on hiring the superintendent, and
But if
sit
Milton
there.
were to need a new principal, we would pick that principal. The Summersworth SAU will say, okay, this is gonna be the principal for Milton. That's not how it happens. We have that say over the local activities that happen here. It's that kind of thing, superintendent services, businesses, those kind of, like the things on this list. Okay, Summersworth SAU, I assume would say, we're gonna contract out someone else besides Back Bay. That would be Summersworth SAU, if we were with them, that would include us. Because that's part of SAU services. So if they wanted to get rid of Back Bay for, say, the SAU, I guess they could do that.
I don't know.
But it's too early in the game to
We're gonna
really
have to
say that.
I wouldn't think so.
But it's that kind of thing. I mean, it's no. But I mean, local things are still going to be controlled by
We
us.
should ask Steve if they have Back Bay.
We didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Peg,
They do.
oh, say there you go. Back Bay is in Summersworth. Okay, Peggy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I had a question. I hear what you're saying, Barbara, and then listening to the explanations. If we're paying part of, and again, because I'm new, if we're paying for part of that superintendent, I certainly would like to be part of interviewing and hiring the superintendent.
No, you're not gonna have-
something, can I say something?
Yep, go ahead.
And this is why we're saying it's gonna be really important to get this information, and we're
Right.
live tonight, so I'm kind of fearful that it's gonna be on the internet that we're going to Summersworth. No, that's not what's happening. The reason why we're looking at contracting SAU services is because this bottom number was really alarming, because the fact is we've been with Wakefield. Wakefield's had 57% and we have had 43%. That's ending, and now Milton's going to have 100% of their SAU. So we're looking at contracting to say for cost, basically. And so it's gonna come down to it's gonna come down to the figures, but also what's behind those figures. Maybe Summersworth's gonna come back and be 10,000 lower or 50,000 lower. And some people may just see that figure and say it's 50,000 lower, that's what we wanna do. It's gonna be important to explain and get that out
Right.
to say it may be 50% or 50,000 lower, but this is
We don't get a say.
right. We don't get this and we don't get that. Or, but there could be pros other than just the other pros could be, under this budget, we're not necessarily, we're not going to have a curriculum coordinator, and we're losing a lot of the current positions that we have because we're kind of downsizing as much as possible. So going to a bigger SAU, they would have those positions. So that's why we're saying they have to talk, they have to get the figure and all the pros and cons, and we're gonna have to really make it simplified on what's the pros and cons of having the SAU here, what's the pros and cons of contracting out.
Okay, all set on that one?
Mhm.
I guess he's got,
Are we moving on from?
well, I can't, well,
No.
there's gonna be,
we're gonna.
there's gonna be another revision, because you changed that figure for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is gonna come back in the next meeting.
Yes,
Is
I'm
there
gonna-
any other revisions? I
You
had
got-
wanted to ask Earl, had we asked Earl to look at this, and if he had any other suggestions?
You want me to go get him out of
What are these four, this four
No, I
options
put
there?
that one in there so you'd have a comparison with Wakefield only.
I don't know what the options mean, though.
No, that's Wakefield only.
Right, but he's asking option
What is
one,
option one,
two, and
option two? What are the variables in these options?
They're
What does this
different.
mean? No superintendent, no business?
What does it say way over to the right?
We don't, there's no,
It's
Doesn't say
very,
anything.
yeah, it's very confusing.
Well, that's how they, that's
maybe
basically.
Mr. Sussman.
I guess what I'm asking is, okay, all right.
What's the question?
I see what you mean.
So, still being under SAU planning.
Correct.
We changed this amount.
Yes, we
I
did.
was wondering if you had gotten a chance to look over this proposal and if there was anything else that you saw.
That's what I wanted to do. I asked Nate to give us the most current one. And I would like to review piece by piece of it. But I think it will be important to look again, and I don't want to use the word absorb, but I think that we need to look at, as I've indicated before, we have to look at the district as a whole. Because if they're saying, okay, this is our existing staff at their SAU, we need to look at our existing staff in terms of our principals and so forth and ascertain where is it that one person might perform more than one role, and some of that will come as a result of taking a look at it, having the staff give some input, have the principals give some input. I've already begun to speak to the principals. I've talked to Scott to get a feeling from him, and I've introduced the concept to him about roles, sharing of roles, and how to go about, how we might go about that. But in answering your question, I have not gone line by line, but the intent is to do so just like we looked at the Back Bay.
Okay.
But in concept, I think that one of the main things that has to be looked at is the personnel. And I've said that to some of the school board members and to the administration, including Nate and John and to Scott. And we will begin to address that with the staff as well, because I think that from a cost-effective standpoint, we need to really take a look at that and ascertain it. So the concept being, what is the existing Milton School District staff in both of the schools, and what do they do? And then from that, ascertain how can we stretch people out, how can, almost do the same thing? I mean, what are the in-house terms of succession? There's a tremendous turnover here and everywhere else in terms of administration, in terms of staff. How can we move certain staff into roles? How can we move administrators into certain roles? You may find a superintendent, like I said before, that can be a school business official. So you have one person. I'm not trying to self-create a position. I don't have a business degree, but it's one person doing that position. You might have a committee in SPED, Gillette. You have an opening for school. You have an opening for a school psychologist. You might very well at the IEP meetings. There's always a psychologist, the psychologist test. So maybe the question arises: do you want a full-time psychologist? Do you want a half-time psychologist? So that's part of it. So then you're looking at each of the buildings. They can look through the buildings. Like, what roles can people play? How can we expand upon them? You've got a school business official. Should that school business official oversee different things? I don't want to start scaring everybody.
So you're actively pursuing this. I don't know about everyone else. I would like your expertise. Like, we feel like we're on a time crunch to kind of get this done, this budget. So is this something you can give us some input next meeting?
I could begin to introduce it, and some of it would be not in the open, because then everybody's going to freak out that nobody's going to have a job, that they're going to be served by everyone. And the intent is not to spend the year, like every time there's an open position, you have an open psychologist now. Do you want to go with a halftime? Do you want to go with a halftime? There's a tremendous, I don't want to take a lot of time up, but that type of thing. Because if you cut yourself short in psychologists, you wind up with placements that don't necessarily serve the student, and they cost the district a lot of money. Your student goes to Crotchet Mountain or some such thing, and it's a tremendous expense. But that's the best interest of the student, fine.
So SAU planning will still be on the agenda.
It'll always be on the agenda. I'll promise you,
And I think that
until it's solved.
what Nate has to do is every 2 weeks, when we send the report out, and you could give it to Kathy, is an updated thing of this, because
so you updated
in the
back
time,
thing.
like he looked at it, I looked at it, Doug looked at it, there's five, we look at one thing, it's one figure, and look at the next. There's no date when something was changed. We've had a lot of transition, the school superintendent, the principals, things like that. So you need to absolutely know what that document looks like. And then from that, if there's a change, I, put it in dark, and then I can say, okay, these are 6 or 7 different ways that you might want to look at this. And in non-public, we have some other people that are, that are possibly moving to other things. So we need to discuss that, and every time there's really an opening, it lends itself to trying to job mesh.
So, Nate, you'll get us that 4th revision? Or is it the 5th revision?
Last count.
I've got it written here
I
somewhere.
got a bunch.
Okay, all right, moving on.
Hold on.
Under old business, are we staying under old business?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, Nate, the mentors, I asked you last time, is it definitely 1 year?
Yes. It is.
Okay,
And that'll be, once school starts, you'll find out who your mentors are.
Yeah.
and it's only for a new teacher
Yes.
to this system?
Yes.
Okay,
All right, is that it? Paul?
Luce kept them here she said she had questions for them. I didn't know what they
I
were.
had
Yeah.
questions,
The next
and
one.
so did Doug for the new assistant principal. We don't know her.
Well, I didn't know where they were, so
Well, they can,
where?
who?
It's
Where is it
gotta
on
be
the
a
agenda?
non-public.
So we gotta go to non-public.
Okay, I was not
That's
sure.
no
Oh.
Okay.
problem.
Is that
Point of
what-
order.
They can,
We're gonna be like interviewing or asking
well,
questions?
we want to ask some questions. I don't know who she is.
Neither do I.
Okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow them, Christy, wow
So,
them.
so
Well, I'm sorry, but, you know,
Don't
everybody
be
should
sorry.
know who and what she stands for.
okay, is that,
Have we
That's it.
finished
Yeah, where's old business?
outside business?
no, we have not. I want to make it, we need a new school clerk. All right? So we got anybody that would like to step up and get paid for that? We won't need that until we do the deliberative session, and then we need a new school board secretary.
You make money, Barbara.
Yes, you get all the inside facts. Okay, do I have any committee board member reports?
No.
Facilities did not meet this month?
So you realize you pick a chair of those committees, then you'll get a key, then you can get access to those. The only thing is, you may not have a recorder, because you don't have to line up a recorder unless you want to do it without a recorder. You're going to need take minutes and stuff. I don't know how you want to do that, those committees.
I mean, I don't mind staying on his chair as facilities, I don't mind. So I thought we already picked him.
Yeah, we did, no, I said chair.
What?
He is the chair.
Yeah, but I'm saying, you got to get the key,
Okay.
then you got to go down and get your key from here. They'll give you a code if you want to get in. Then you might not be recorded on the recorder unless you can get somebody to do it for you.
Oh, that recorder.
Yes.
I thought you meant
I know I said a secretary. Okay.
All
You all-
right.
We all set on that? Okay. Any public comments?
Thanks, guys.
I just have one thing I forgot to tell you guys. Friends of Newt have talked to the guy up on the hill, and we have hired him to put safety railings on Old Newt building, and that is definite. We gave him the check, and each doorway, even though on the old library doorway, there is a railing, that is going to have a new one. And Paul, because you had explained to me about resetting stairs, I made sure from Ernie that the railing on that set of stairs can come off if they're reset without destroying anything.
Good.
And so they can come off if those stairs are reset. But there's gonna be a railing at the top set and the bottom set, both.
Good deal.
The only thing with the bottom step, there's usually a loop that comes out, but because of plowing, it's right there, so that loop will not be there like normal. But they are up to code, you know, he knows all the code rules, and both sets of stairs will have a railing
Good.
in the middle of the stairs.
Okay, I want to.
Do you
Public
wanna
comments?
know how much that was?
Oh, got a price?
Yeah.
Wait, wait, wait.
If Larry Brown, if I understood the board correctly, it is their plan to interview the assistant principal in non-public?
That's correct.
There is nothing in RSA 91A3 that permits that.
Yes, it does.
Define it.
B, the hiring of any person as a public employee. Would you like to read it?
That the
It's B.
2B,
Right
the
there.
hiring of any person as a public employee,
She's going to be a public employee.
are you hired?
And ask her questions.
I understood it as just the board's just trying to get to know
That
their,
if the person is hired, it is not a discussion of their hiring, their discipline, or their firing.
They haven't
It is
been
not
hired
a
yet.
contractual issue. The only thing you would be able to go into non-public for would be the consideration of matters relating to emergency functions.
No, this is great, Larry. Thank you.
If the principal wishes to speak to that, that would be in non-public. Beyond that, her opinions, which are probably professional and educational in nature would be
Thank you, Larry.
conversation.
Sorry.
No problem.
I can't.
I can be outvoted by the board. So I need a motion to go into non-public.
I'll make the motion.
Lou?
A second.
Okay, let me write it down. Peggy? That'll be RSA 91A, 32A, B, C, and E. Paul? Peggy?
Aye.
Stephanie? Douglas, yes?
Yes.
Yes. We're in non-public. I thank everybody for coming.
Thank you, ladies, for coming.